Hi, and welcome to the Quick and Dirty Romance Podcast. We're your hosts, romance authors and bicoastal friends for life. I'm Sky McDonald, author of the Connecticut Commodore's Steamy Hockey Romance series.
And I'm Sarah Smith, author of the steamy Denver Bashers hockey romance series.
And together we are Sarah Sky, author of the best-selling Unlikely Pairing series.
Each episode will dive deep into what it's like to be a contemporary romance author. We'll talk writing inspiration, give you the inside scoop about the publishing world, chat about how we write those infamous sex scenes, and more. And then we'll pull out and wrap it up in 30 minutes or less, but we promise to leave you satisfied.
We need to take a moment and please just open up the app where you're listening to us, wherever it might be. Do you see those stars under our logo? Go ahead and give us a rating before you forget, please. The more people react to the show, the more momentum we get. So we really do appreciate you taking that just a second to just tap some stars. Thank you so, so much.
So, in today's episode, we're going to talk about something I bet you guys never ever thought you would hear us talk about, and that is drum roll. Oh my God. Okay,
Headphones on, headphones on.
yeah, headphones on. We're going to talk about the penis size of book boyfriends in romances, specifically why they are always so damn big. Sky.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We promise to leave you satisfied for sure today. Let's dive in. This is a pretty wild wild ride, if you will, for us. But we figured why not? We both write open door romances. So let's talk about this one particular thing and whatever else comes to mind. So let's go.
Yes. So this is something that I have always noticed. Like I noticed it as a reader, and when I became a romance author, I made it a point to always write a book boyfriend or a male main character in my romances who had, like a penis that was like a good size. I've never specified like inches though. I've never like said like, oh, he's this big or whatever. But it's always been implied that this guy is packing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, because that is what I read as a romance reader.
Hmm.
In literally every book I've ever read. I know that there's probably some niche subgenre out
There's
there with
certainly niches about micro dicks. There's
right.
certainly that has to be a thing.
It has to. But lately I've been noticing a lot of discussion on social media about like, okay, well, why do book boyfriends always have like big penises? And I'm like, and for me, I was like, I don't know. Personally, it was never really that deep for me. Like, I was just like, this is
Huh.
what I assume most people want. Like most, I think people who have intercourse with men would probably rather prefer a good sized penis versus one that's not that big or smaller than average. But I started seeing a lot of discourse on social media again about how certain readers were kind of like upset. They're like, "Oh, we don't always need to have a book boyfriend who's got a huge dick. Like, it's okay if he's a little bit smaller." And I'm like, "Well, is it? Like, maybe that's what you want as a reader, but like, does that account for like the millions of readers who like, use romances as an escape from their own lives and having to like be with their non-book boyfriend people who maybe aren't packing what they wish they were. I don't know. I don't want this to come off as body shaming because I'm not trying to body shame anybody. I'm just trying to talk about like this in the context of romances, specifically like why are book boyfriends always so well endowed? And for me, I think it's just because like that's what a lot of women want.
I have
Sky.
so many thoughts as you're talking.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah,
Just
please
like
share all of them.
all over the place. Um, it is interesting what you say. Like when you proposed this as the topic, I was like, okay. Um, it is funny because we do, and I think we have mentioned this many and many a year ago, but like we are writing a type of fantasy story. right? And our men tend to be physically well proportioned, right? Like,
Mhm.
you know, the whole five 5'9" is the new 6'2". Um, like most, like the average male, at least in America, is what, like 5'10", 5'9", and I would have to look that up, but it is not 6 feet. Not in America, like in
Oh,
maybe like the Netherlands, but like not here. Um,
no,
and
you're
so
right,
like
Sky. I think it is. I think the average American male is around 5'9" or 5'10". I think you're
5'9",
correct.
5'10", yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, like generally, I don't I don't normally state exactly how tall they are. Sometimes I will. Like sometimes I will, and sometimes I will reference how tall the woman is because I want people to have a better idea of her size, right? Like some of my heroines are rather petite, like I'm going to use the nice term petite, like me, so like 5'4", 5'5". Um, some of them are taller, like so Olivia's like 5'10", right? And that's noteworthy to know a little bit more about the person's personality. But with dudes, right, like I don't mention like, oh, his X length, you know, cock in my hand. Like what I tend to do is the woman is like really I guess I would use the term eager for it. So like whatever he's packing, she wants what he's got. But like I've never described it as like yes, I have described some penises as large, right? Like so Max and Deke, Danny literally says you're going to rip me in half. Like so that, you know, that kind of is fun. But then other ones, like they don't mention it, but it's just that you know it's enough to satisfy her, right? Like whatever that means. So I'm not really sure what this discourse is looking for, you know, like, oh, I pulled off his boxers and like wasn't sure where it was for a minute. Like what are you looking for? Like
Yeah.
I do think, you know, oh, 10-inch penis, like come on. And also, to your point about giving people the romance and like wanting sort of this like fantasy guy, not all women, for sure, even that's not pleasant, right? Like for some women, that would be like, no way. Um, but I do think that there is something about like describing the male specimen that is part of the fantasy of romance. So
Yeah.
I definitely understand why it's featured, if you will. But the question that I
Yeah.
wanted to ask is, as you were talking about like the size and the girth and the length and da da da, da, do you always describe a woman's vagina?
No, and you know why? So for me, as the writer from that side
Hmm.
of things, I feel like it stems from the fact that women just in reality, we get a lot of like scrutiny physically
Hmm.
about ourselves. Not necessarily always about our vagina, just about like how we look and how our physical appearance is. But there is some pretty rough expectations, I think, or beauty standards, I think, is even when it comes to how our genitals look, which is ridiculous, but I think that stems a lot from like pornography. Um, and I'm not saying that like porn is bad across the board, but I think historically it has not been great for setting realistic or healthy expectations about like body image or sex or consent or any of those things when it comes to relationships and sex. So for me, I mean, I've been pretty overloaded on like what a woman should feel like, she should look like physically, literally every on her body. And I don't want to bring that into the books that I write. So instead, um, we're going to focus on what the guy looks like because for me, I guess the way that I can explain it, like as a writer, I write for the female gaze, I guess, or
Hmm.
the female gaze of women who enjoy reading about women having sex with men, right?
Okay.
So for me in that perspective, like it matters more what his dick looks like.
So you don't use phrase like your male main characters don't say things like "you're so tight."
Sometimes, but it's not like it's not ever done in like a body shame or I had this expectation of what you were gonna feel like around
Hmm.
my penis when I did it. It's always said in a flattering praise way. It's always a positive. It's not, I don't always say it. Or sorry, I don't say it like I'm part of it. I'm not. I don't always write it. It's just like it just has to be like relevant to the character and to the scene. So like if he's like a dirty talk kind of guy, which a lot of my heroes have been lately, especially in my hockey romance series, they all have filthy mouths, but they don't always talk about how tight she is.
Right, because that is like a idealization of a female vagina, right? The idea of the
Right.
tightness. So like
Yeah.
sometimes my characters will say that, but it needs to have been in the context of the woman has either never had sex before, a as in the case of Scoreless, or it has been a long time since she had sex, right?
Mhm.
And indeed, in my single parent romance, actually, I had I ended up, I didn't use the tightness thing, not really. Like I will have the guy describe because I at least one of my sex scenes is always from the male POV. I will describe how she feels clenched around him, but that
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean that she's like small or tight.
No,
But
of
I
course
think
not.
it's reasonable if you know that it's been a while since the woman has had sex that it feels different to him like that time. But like in my single parent romance, What Happens at the Beach, like she had a C-section because I know that it is different once you have had a vaginal birth, right? Like it's like just something, a detail that he would have known and he didn't know initially that she was a parent. So I like worked around that just so it wasn't like a conversation, you know? But
Sure.
like I definitely think that I see a lot of like praise for women being tight.
Mhm.
When in the same way that you don't really necessarily want to read about a micro penis, you don't want to read about like, oh, I didn't even realize it was in. Like, but at the same time, like that doesn't have those aren't the two only two paradigms.
Sure.
Um, but I do think it's interesting, like what you say about writing for the female gaze,
Mhm.
because like, yeah, we are more focused on the male, on the man's physique, and a lot of times on empowering the woman to get past, like I know, like to get past any kind of hang she may have about her own physique, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so I think that's interesting. I definitely think, or like her boobs were huge or something like that, right? Like I think that's kind of older language, right? And that kind of also gets into the porny side of it of like, okay, not everybody has is, like this huge hourglass, like, all this crazy stuff. Like depicting female bodies, I think, is a lot, and like the variety of female bodies has current er, in romance has become more popular to like to show the spectrum. Men sometimes there are some people who will write, like a short king. I'm not sure. Like, I guess dad bods can be a thing. Like, are there dad bod? There have to be dad bod
Yeah,
romances.
I have seen a couple. I haven't read any. But I've seen a few. There's definitely a market for that for sure. And just for the record, I don't I know short king is used a lot as like a compliment, but I've never met a guy who likes being called a
No,
short
I haven't either.
but I
Um,
understand like it's not for them. This is in a
yeah.
romance. It's like a trope, it's a micro trope, it's not a big deal. It's for fun.
Do you think that physically fit men set unrealistic expectations?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's fair to like I don't think it's fair to pin unrealistic like body expectations on somebody who is takes care of themselves or who just happens to be very in shape. And I don't think that like I don't think it necessarily sets unfair body expectations in romance if the book boyfriends all have like or it's implied that the book boyfriends have like large penises or that they're well endowed. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing because, I mean, like you said, like we are writing an escape. Like this is meant to be, or at least when I write my books, I want them to be a pleasant escape from whatever my readers are dealing with in real life. And typically, when you read romance, or if you're a romance reader, you want to be like, you want to feel happy. There are certain things you want to read in a romance. And I think an attractive, in shape male main character who has a nice a nice size penis, whatever that may be for you. I never say like inches because I don't
Hmm.
want to I think that's weird. I don't want to set
Hmm.
that expectation. But there's always an expectation that like he's well endowed because I think that means different things, like you said, to different people, depending on like what you prefer or how big you are, or like, all those, you know what I mean? Um, but no, I do I again like I think it's just me coming from the position of like I'm writing this for women. And I'm not really concerned that this sets an unrealistic expectation of what a guy should look like because I don't really care. This is supposed to be a bit of fantasy and playfulness and fun stuff. Yes.
So, so
Yeah.
taking that, call it a thesis,
Hmm.
and flipping over to something like pulpy fantasy or sci-fi, where you have like the big busted warrior woman fighting aliens in a bikini, is that the same for men? It's just good fun. Like, who cares that she's
I
got a
don't
triple
know.
D rack? Um,
It's, I think it's different and it shouldn't be, but it is different because I just think that's like men and women are like, for the longest time, we've been socialized differently. So I think that like, women can have an expectation of what a guy should look like, and it's probably not going to lead to, not always, but it's probably not going to lead to
Violence.
like a lot of negativity, violence, sexual violence, degrading behavior and language, sexual harassment, groping. It's probably not going to lead to that. Whereas I think, as we've seen in like those types of fantasies depicted, porn, when the expectation is that a woman is supposed to look a certain way, very unrealistic, very unhealthy, that's pretty harmful for women and how like they're treated by men or how society treats them and how the expectation is that we're supposed to look versus some guy. Like, I can't tell you how many times some like mediocre ugly dude has said like, "Oh, she's very ugly," or has these insanely high standards of what a woman should look like or what he thinks he should get as a woman. And I'm just like, dude, have you seen a mirror? Like maybe you should like maybe you should take, that's going off on a different tangent. But like
No, no, but I
to
like,
answer your
so
question, yeah.
it should be the
Yeah.
same, but it's not the same.
Right. It should be the same. It's not the same. And I think most intelligent, reasonable people can acknowledge that it's not the same. And I think
I
we know
think
why.
I wish that it was the same because I think your argument about it just being good fun is right. But I do think definitely based on the historical context that we can't call it the same, only because of the capacity of violence against women. But at the same time, as you were saying all of that, I also thought of that book con that went down this year where those women did in fact grope that man and he felt
Of
very
course,
uncomfortable
yeah.
about it. So like poor behavior happens on all ends and across all spectrums.
Of-
And I
yeah.
wish very much that we could move to a place where it was fine for whatever it may be, you know.
Oh yeah. No, totally.
So
And that's never to say I would never say like, oh, women are never like harmful or
yeah,
they have I would never say that. That's not what I'm yeah,
no, no,
anyone who
no. I
knows
don't
me
think so either. I just
obviously
think it's an
not
interesting, like, I think it's interesting, you know, like we've become, romance has become a place where women's bodies like are being celebrated in all shapes and sizes, which is awesome and
that.
lovely. And but also too, and so like theoretically, maybe ideally, it would the same would be for men. But we have and indeed there is a lot of culture and a lot of like anorexia and gymorexia and things like that in men because of
Mhm.
societal expectations. However, historically the expectations of physicality for women have been so terrible. Like any of us who grew up in the 90s know what we're talking about. Like the expectation of, no cellulite. Like, my goodness, how many magazine covers?
Oh
Like,
my God.
oh, is
Yeah.
she pregnant? Like, because she's in a bathing suit. Oh my goodness. So, like, I do think that I would like to see a scale balanced, you know, but I
Oh,
definitely
absolutely.
don't think that we can pretend like it is an even Steven kind of thing for sure.
No, it's not. And like you said, I mean, how many dozens, hundreds of magazines have existed to make women feel like shit about how they
Yeah.
look so they can like change it and like to feed into whatever beauty standard that we're supposed to follow. And I mean, there are like men's magazines like Men's Health and others that
Hmm.
like probably promote some like you said, like
Definitely.
unhealthy eating habits, kind of like that fitness orthorexia that like guys shouldn't have to go through either. That's horrible. But
Hmm.
like you said, I think women have dealt with the bulk of it. Not saying that it's okay for men to go through that. It's not. It's horrible for anybody to
Nope.
feel shame and embarrassment about their body because there's nothing shameful or embarrassing about anybody's body. You're beautiful the way that you are. Everybody is. Um,
Ugly's on the inside.
yes, right? Yeah. We're all the same on the inside. We all have
Yeah, but ugly
weird,
like is
gross
an
stuff.
internal like behavior, and ugly
Yeah.
is a behavior. Ugly is a lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
you can work with whatever you've got. Um, so this is true. Women do have to deal with a lot of unpleasantness, and we are a place where escape happens, and dick size is penis size, however you want to say it, is definitely part of that. Do you find that? So, like, I'll definitely mention her appreciating his body. I don't always mention, like I said, that he's huge. And as you pointed out, I never mention inches. Like,
Right.
no.
Yeah.
But I do definitely know that I focus more on, to go back to the fantasy of it, what he can do for her. So,
Hmm.
right. So, like, if you are packing major heat, but you don't know what you're doing,
Right.
and to that point, I actually wanted to, like, I found this on the internet and I thought it was like worth sharing in this context because apparently, and this is all internet based, but the question floated around on social media asking heterosexual women, what's it like to have sex with a man or to sleep with a man? And some of the comments were really like, it's kind of like when your kids help you clean and you tell them they did a good job, but you end up doing it yourself.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know how when you do a group project, but in order to finish, you end up doing all the work yourself. It's kind of like that. And it's like when someone scratches your back but never gets to the itchy part. Feels all right, but not what you were asking for.
Right. Oh my God. I remember seeing that. You know what one that I remember from as one of the answers? I think the woman said, it's like feeling like you're going to sneeze, but then it just never happened.
Oh, okay.
So, right? Like,
I I am concerned about the status of sex and sexual satisfaction among hetero couples at this point. Like,
oh, same. Hard same.
mm,
Yeah. Which is why I
it's kind
think
of why we're here,
sad.
right?
Right, exactly. Like this is why we're talking about this right now. Like I think this is why we have a job as
Yeah.
romance author. I mean, I know I'm oversimplifying it. I know I am, but like there is a lot to be said for so I'm a part of a few Facebook romance reader groups just to like get book recommendations because
Hmm.
I'm a romance reader too, obviously, and I love getting book recommendations from people who like the same trope or like the same genre as me. And it's astounding how many women are in that group who will post sometimes with their profile, but sometimes anonymously, and say like, "Oh, I'm in like a dead bedroom situation, and I just
Hmm.
like I'm so tired of it, and my husband or my boyfriend like." Just, we just haven't had intimacy for a long time. So I want this kind of book with this kind of hero. Or like, oh my gosh, I had this horrible hookup. Like he didn't even try to make me come. So if we could get me like, can you recommend a book who like with a hero who does this, this, and this, and who makes her come like over and over and or like, oh, I hooked up with this other guy who had like a terrible, you know what I mean? So like just over and over and over, example after example of just like
Hmm.
women being failed in the bedroom. And it's
Yeah.
just like, it's really sad. So I think it's okay that like romance can fill that void if you're not getting it.
And at the same time, and I know when we did our reader poll episode, where we were using, some people said they like reading romance, A, because it fills a void, B, because it gives them ideas, right?
Mhm.
And so I think the duality of like, we're not setting like, oh, my husband doesn't have this size penis, so this isn't going to be good. But like, I think in the same way we're filling that void, we're also like able to talk about like, honestly, I fear that a lot of people don't have good sex because they don't know how to have it with themselves, and they don't, because of the puritanical nature that we have instilled in our society around especially women's pleasure, but like even how to get it, right?
Mhm.
Like I think a
Yeah.
lot of women don't know what they like, and are afraid to even like explore it on their own. And I know I'm generalizing. I know a bunch of our listeners are like, nope, babes, I know exactly what I like. And good for you, Queen.
Yes.
I applaud you.
Yes. We're so happy for you. We
We're
love that
very happy
for
for you. But it is like, between the still embedded, like, please him, right? Like, and also, like, don't ask about what pleases you, right? This is just what's good. And the proliferate, woo, the explosion of free porn, um, and the expectation that women will like those things, right? Whatever it is that, and a lot of it is fairly violent, and a lot of it has to do with like BDSM that's very popular these days, and there's nothing wrong with it at all to be on a kink spectrum if you are on a kink spectrum. If you don't like being tied up and slapped in the face, it's okay, right? But like, I think there's a lot of fear of saying it's okay, where we create these book boyfriends who are well endowed, talented in many ways, but also in the bedroom, and actually care. Like,
Yeah.
they care, So like, going back to Max, because Deeked is one of my more recent books, like the first scene where they get it on, he's like, no, I'm not coming right now. This is all about you. Right. And I know that you do things like that too. Like oral is very important. Like, but our books are focused on women's pleasure. And I think tragically, a lot of women don't know what their pleasure is, or have taken a while to figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with your timeline, Queen. But I do think that there is like, it's almost like this is a great way to look at this and then put it into practice for you, or to use it for your own fantasies.
Right. No, exactly. And that I think that really is the gist of, or it really encompasses like this topic as a whole. So like, yeah, we're talking
Hmm.
about penis size. Haha, that's very funny.
Yeah.
Like here we are and very salacious. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it is, but it's also like it's just one piece of the whole puzzle. And the puzzle is just like we're writers trying to bring joy to our readers' lives. And that for me means writing the kind of man that I think a lot of women wish existed in real life. And a lot of men are. Fantasies, they're wonderful. Like they're
Yeah.
incredible people, they're incredible partners. Unfortunately, not all women have that, and
No.
that
And,
sucks. That really
even, yeah, even women who have wonderful husbands and fathers and partners, not always mean that you're sexually compatible.
right.
And like,
Right.
that may be a cost that you pay, right? Like, it is sufficiently rare to find someone who is a great partner, a person that you like, and also someone you can set the sheets on fire with.
Right.
Like, if you
Yeah.
have that, then that's really, and it's okay. It's also okay, and this is one of the reasons I love our books, and I love like what you were saying about what readers are using it for. Like, well, not the hookups, but like, it's okay if you have all the pieces, but the sex is eh, right?
Mhm.
Like we value passionate sex in these stories, but like, that's because it's a story, right? Like, not every romance has, intense, deep, fiery passion. And like, we want that, right? Everybody wants that. Well, no, not everybody, but the people who read us want that fiery passion, even if it is not part of their everyday. And I think that there is nothing wrong with like getting that. So yes, penis size is one piece of the total package, but it is an important piece.
Of course.
It is a piece. So yeah, I think, it's interesting. Like, this actually had a lot of depth to it, to your point, because it is really why we're here, and we're not, you know, yes, penis size, that's a fun thing to talk about. And yes, especially our hockey players, like, they're hockey players. Like, I don't think that you're expecting to see, and I'm sure that there are hockey players out there who do not fill their jocks, but like, we're sitting here describing these walls. Like, if you have ever seen the Sports Illustrated Bodies edition where they will have a hockey player, like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, friends, go and look it up, because oh my God, Milan Lucic, like, several, their legs are walls. Like, they are walls of muscle. So like, this person is like, all most of my female main characters, when they first start getting with this guy, because they haven't been dating hockey players, they're like, whoa, because it is, again, Sports Illustrated Bodies Edition. I may put a link in the show notes because, like, when you see what a hockey player looks like without their clothes on, it is like, oh my God. So I don't think that then you want them to be like mid in the bedroom.
No.
I just don't think
No,
that's why we're reading that.
no, of course not. You get enough of that in your real life,
Yeah.
sadly. So if you want to like, if you want to escape a little, why not escape to someplace that's fun in
Yes.
literally every way?
I would love to hear from our listeners, whether it be through our Instagram or it be in the or in the show comments. What do you like about, what is your preferred dick size in a book, boyfriend? We will love to hear it in real life. Go ahead and say it. Maybe, don't let your partner know. I don't know. But then also to like, why is that entertaining? Right?
Hmm.
I would like to hear that. But
Yeah,
in the meantime, oh,
sorry, I want to know if we have any size queens in our listening audience. Sorry.
no, no, I want to know too. I want to know too, because this has been great for me. So good, I might need a cigarette. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't touch that kind of thing, but that's okay. Was it good for you, Sarah?
Hell yeah, it was good for me.
Good. Thank you all so much for listening. Please don't forget, if you haven't already, drop those reviews. Do it right now before you close the app. And also, read our books. We are both on KU individually, as well as Sarah Sky. And speaking of Sarah Sky, you can find us on Instagram and give us any comments you have about this episode or future episodes at author Sarah Sky. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as author Sky McDonald.
And you can find me on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. I am at author Sarah S. We love to hear from you, so reach out and DM us with any questions or requests for future episodes.
Thanks again for listening, everybody. Bye.